Cow's milk is a staple in many diets around the world, found in everything from breakfast cereals and coffee to creamy desserts and cheeses. For generations, we've been told that milk is essential for strong bones, healthy growth, and overall well-being. But beneath the glossy advertisements and reassuring slogans lies a critical question. Is cow's milk truly meant for human consumption, or is it, quite simply, for cows? Let's start with a simple fact. Cow's milk is naturally produced by mother cows to nourish their calves. It's a biological formula, perfectly tailored to meet the unique needs of a growing baby cow, an animal that will triple its birth weight in its first year and develop into a creature weighing several hundred pounds. The nutritional composition of cow's milk reflects this purpose. It's high in protein, fat, and specific hormones designed to accelerate growth at a rate that's normal for a calf, but quite different from what a human infant, and certainly an adult, requires. Yet across much of the world, people of all ages pour cow's milk into their glasses, believing it to be a necessary part of a healthy diet. This belief didn't arise by accident. It's the result of decades of marketing, government policy, and cultural habit. But as we learn more about nutrition and the effects of dairy on the human body, it's worth taking a closer look at whether cow's milk truly belongs in our diets. Human beings are unique among mammals in that we continue to consume milk, and not just any milk, but the milk of another species, long after weaning. In nature, no other animal does this. Once a mammal is weaned from its mother, it never drinks milk again. Human infants, of course, thrive on their mother's milk, which is perfectly formulated for the human species. But after infancy, our nutritional needs change. Our bodies gradually reduce the production of lactase, the enzyme necessary to digest lactose, the sugar found in milk. In fact, the majority of the world's population, about 2/3, becomes lactose intolerant to some degree after childhood. Lactose intolerance isn't a disease or a deficiency, it's the normal, natural state for adult mammals, including humans. The ability to digest milk into adulthood is actually a genetic adaptation that developed in certain human populations, particularly in Northern Europe, where dairy farming became a central part of life. For those with this adaptation, drinking milk may not cause immediate digestive issues. But for billions of people worldwide, consuming cow's milk can result in bloating, gas, cramps, and other uncomfortable symptoms. But lactose intolerance is just one piece of the puzzle. Cow's milk contains a variety of proteins such as casein and whey that can be difficult for some people to digest and may trigger allergic reactions. Cow's milk protein allergy is one of the most common food allergies in children, and although many children outgrow it, it can persist into adulthood. Even for those without a true allergy, milk proteins can sometimes provoke low-level inflammation or other adverse effects. Then there's the matter of hormones. Cow's milk naturally contains hormones, including estrogen and progesterone, as well as growth factors like insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1. These substances are present because cows are mammals, and milk is a hormonal fluid designed to foster rapid growth in calves. Some studies have raised concerns that the hormones and growth factors in cow's milk could have subtle effects on human health, potentially influencing the risk of certain cancers or other conditions, although this research is ongoing and the findings remain debated. The dairy industry often touts milk as an essential source of calcium, necessary for strong bones and teeth. But is cow's milk truly the best way to meet our calcium needs? The answer is more complicated than the advertisements suggest. While it's true that milk contains calcium, it's not the only or necessarily the best source. Many plant-based foods, such as leafy green vegetables, almonds, tofu, and fortified plant milks, are excellent sources of calcium. Moreover, populations with the highest intake of dairy do not necessarily have the lowest rates of bone fractures. In fact, some studies have found the opposite. Countries with the most dairy consumption sometimes experience higher rates of osteoporosis and hip fractures, suggesting that the relationship between milk, calcium, and bone health is not as straightforward as we've been led to believe. Vitamin D is another nutrient often associated with cow's milk in the public mind. But here's the catch. Cow's milk doesn't naturally contain significant amounts of vitamin D. The milk sold in stores is typically fortified with added vitamin D, the same way many plant-based milks are. Humans primarily get vitamin D from exposure to sunlight and from foods such as fatty fish or supplements, not from milk. Beyond personal health, there are ethical and environmental considerations to think about when it comes to drinking cow's milk. The dairy industry is a massive global enterprise, and its impact reaches far beyond the grocery store. Raising cows for milk requires vast amounts of land, water, and feed. It's a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, particularly methane, which is a potent driver of climate change. Manure runoff from dairy farms can pollute waterways, harming ecosystems and drinking water supplies. The welfare of dairy cows is another concern. To produce milk, cows must be kept pregnant or lactating for much of their lives. Calves are typically separated from their mothers soon after birth, a practice that causes distress to both cow and calf. While some dairy farms strive to treat their animals humanely, the realities of large-scale production often mean that animal welfare takes a backseat to efficiency and profit. Given all these factors, it's no surprise that more and more people are questioning the role of cow's milk in the human diet. The rise of plant-based alternatives, such as soy, almond, oat, and coconut milk, reflects a growing awareness that we don't need to rely on dairy to meet our nutritional needs. These alternatives can be fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and other nutrients, providing a comparable nutritional profile without the downsides associated with cow's milk. It's also important to recognise that food traditions are deeply personal and cultural. For many, milk is tied to childhood memories, family recipes, and cherished comfort foods. Change isn't always easy, and there's nothing inherently wrong with enjoying foods that bring us pleasure. But when we look at the bigger picture, health, sustainability, animal welfare, it becomes clear that cow's milk is, first and foremost, for cows. So, what should you consider if you're rethinking your relationship with dairy? First, remember that a balanced diet rich in whole plant foods can provide all the nutrients you need, including protein, calcium, and vitamins. If you do choose plant-based milks, look for options fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Explore new foods and recipes. Nut butters, seeds, legumes, leafy greens, and whole grains are all excellent sources of nutrition. If you've been told you need milk for strong bones, consider that regular weight-bearing exercise, adequate vitamin D, and a varied diet are just as important, if not more so, than drinking milk. If you struggle with lactose intolerance, digestive issues, or allergies, know that you're not alone and that many people thrive without dairy. And if you're concerned about the environmental impact of your food choices, reducing or eliminating dairy is one of the most effective steps you can take. Ultimately, the decision about whether to include cow's milk in your diet is a personal one. But it's worth remembering that cow's milk was never designed for humans. It's a food created by nature for the specific needs of baby cows, large, fast-growing animals with nutritional requirements very different from our own. As we learn more about nutrition, health, and sustainability, it's time to question old assumptions and embrace choices that reflect our values, our health, and the well-being of our planet. Choosing what to eat is a powerful act. By making informed decisions, we can nourish our bodies, support ethical practices, and help build a future that's healthier for ourselves and for the world we share. So the next time you reach for a glass of milk, ask yourself, is this really meant for me, or is it quite simply for cows? The answer, as science and common sense suggest, is clear. Cow's milk is for cows, not for humans.